I'm going to pick up where you last left off by stating, much like a post-structural narrative would be, you start from the end and you go backwards like a good detective novel. I'm going to start by saying the glass ceiling is real, and that age is somewhere between 32 and 40. All right. And if you're not trying to get up the ladder and get those things, there's only so far you can go, hands down. All right. I witnessed this directly. I saw it happen to a lot of other people. And keep in mind, the structure of any business is a pyramid. There are fewer seats at the top, and not everyone can get there. That's hard truth. 35 is a magical age. Just remember that. There's a turning point in everyone's life, and that's also serious. So starting with that, I always have to make sure that everyone knows that even though I'm a person of color, I had a very fortunate, privileged life to get through this. It mirrors anyone that basically is in a power position today on the top of firms, right? I went to elite colleges. I got to perform at high levels. I got to bump elbows with people at high levels. You know, being taught, you know, what Harvard students were learning at undergrad, at the same time of getting a fine arts degree and being as creative as possible. We were heavy design, but heavy theory, right? And when we say theory, it's theory based on history and academic ideological positions based on history, understanding structures of behavior and economics and things like that, that sort of control our environments. At the same time, you know, when you're pursuing those ideas, people say, hey, do you want to go on to grad school, right? I'm like, yeah, that's all my leaders. That everyone is led in that direction. So yeah, of course, right? So where do you go? You're going to pick. It's going to be either Harvard, Yale, Columbia, Stanford, Syracuse, you know, Berkeley, any one of those schools. That's where you're going because that's who you're reading, that's who's teaching, and that's where you're headed, right? I was fortunate enough to get into Yale. I kind of messed up my application getting into Harvard, so I didn't get that chance. But yeah, and this is the funny thing. After you get out of those schools, you go work for pennies at Superstar Architects, hoping to fill your resume and working for nothing. I guarantee you, most of those people never, ever wanted to get licensed. They wanted to be boutique architects for the rest of their lives. I don't know why, but that was the path. It was really strange. I mean, there were awful stories about working for Peter Eisenman or other people working for free, trying to live in New York City. And that is all classes of people, all demographics. So that was no joke. So one thing I always found, and I knew I had to, you know, in general, I mean, like, you know, it's about who you are and what your experiences are. I knew I had to earn things and hold on to things, right? And the one thing that's simple, if you have to go to school to get a degree to go somewhere, everything's kind of like collecting things. It's an acquisitive process. So if you don't go and get something to hold on to it that can't be taken away, why are you doing it in the first place? That's how I think about it, right? If you know you have to go to school to get a degree, well, a license is just like a degree, right? And I know for a fact that no one can take away my diploma at any of those schools. They can't. They can't deny it at all. So that's the reason why I went and got my license, because I didn't want anyone to say I couldn't be, shouldn't be, whatever.